Holy, okay. We have a video today. It is a long one though. It's like an hour and a half. I didn't think it was an hour and a half. I thought it was like 20 minutes, but it's not. It's an hour and a half. So we'll probably watch 20 minutes of it today and then another 20 minutes tomorrow. But yeah, so that's cool. Another thing that I want to share is my bowl of orange chicken, chow mein, and rice at the bottom. And I think this is really cool because the chicken is actually plant-based, and then it has like orange chicken sauce on the side. And I kind of messed up the orange chicken sauce. I don't know how you do that, but I did. But we're gonna try it right now. If I didn't burn the chicken, that would be really good. The chow mein is from Panda Express, which, from Google's knowledge, is vegan. I also messed up the rice because I forgot to put salt and butter in it. So that's 0 for 3. Because I bought it chow mein from Panda Express. I burnt the chicken. And I forgot to put salt and butter in the rice. Plant-based butter. Whatever. Anyways. Let's do this.
Hello,
Okay, I need to take these out.
I'm Robin.
Ah, my bad. I gotta switch
and
this
I'm
over to
70 and I'm struggling.
my headset.
Do you think we should reduce the amount of pain that plants are experiencing?
Yes, we should. Plants matter. Hashtag plants matter.
You're not addressing my points. You are not addressing my points. You are deflecting because I literally backed you into a corner.
You can have sex,
Okay,
and
that
it was
should be good right there.
unethical, non-consensual, but it was great. Or you can have the consensual sex and it's not quite as good. Which one do you pick?
Probably a cheeseburger.
Is eating meat unethical? Or has the conversation
Probably a
around
cheeseburger.
veganism and ethical dieting become too rigid and moralized?
I'm gonna probably mute
I'm
myself
John
from time to
Regalado,
time
and for
so that I
Jubilee
can
Media, this is Surrounded,
eat.
where one brave soul faces a room full of disagreeers. Today we're diving headfirst into veganism, factory farming, and what it means to
There
eat.
was a video from Two Legged Plague that was like, what if it was like people commenting like, oh, it should be like 20 vegans versus one meat eater, and it was like, okay, so let's imagine that, okay, you put 20 vegans in a room with one meat eater. First vegan comes up and is like, so why do you eat meat? And the guy's like, well, because I like it. It's good and it's healthy. And it's like, yeah, but you're killing animals. And he's like, yeah. So I'll find the video. I'm not doing it really good. And it's like, that's it. It's the most uninteresting thing in the world. It's funny.
eat ethically.
I'll find it for you guys though.
I'm here in the center with our featured guest, Dr. Jack Symes. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Are you ready to debate the circle?
Sure am. I'm looking forward to hearing what reasons they've brought for their unethical lifestyles.
Are you all ready to bring your best arguments?
Sorry, I
All
was
right,
making
let's
sure
get
that I
into
looked
it.
good. That's my bad.
My first surrounded claim is extreme suffering for trivial pleasure is morally indefensible.
If you'd like to be the first debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1. To be the first.
Extreme suffering for trivial pleasure is morally indefensible.
If you'd like to be the first debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Easy, lad.
Dr. Jack?
Nice to meet you.
Hey,
What's your name, sorry?
I'm Dr. Pete. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Dr. Pete.
So I am very excited about this topic. I think it's super interesting that it touches on so much and all sorts of food. So I'm an emergency medicine physician.
Do you want to, on the claim I made, first of all, do you want to, do you disagree with that?
I
first?
do.
You disagree, extreme suffering for
On so much. I am very excited about this topic. I think it's super interesting that it touches on so much and all sorts of food. So I'm an emergency medicine physician.
Do you want to, on the claim I made, first of all, do you want to, do you disagree with that?
I do.
talking
I do.
too
You extreme suffering for trivial
I
pleasures
do.
morally
I do.
indefensible. Can I give you the reason, then you can disagree?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think this principle comes from any of the major world philosophies. So you could be religious or not religious. You could be a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim. You could be a Hindu, a Sikh. You could be a Buddhist. Or you could have one of the secular moral philosophies as well. You could be an Aristotelian, a utilitarian, an existentialist. But the easiest way to understand it is just being a utilitarian, right? A good action is one where you create lots of happiness and pleasure and very little pain and suffering. But unfortunately, when it comes to factory farming, it's the other way around in our treatment of non-human animals in general. Quick example, and then I'll let you jump in.
Please.
A broiler chicken exists for 6 weeks. As soon as it's born, it has its beak clipped off with a guillotine. It's put in a cage so small it can't move. It's pumped full of food for 6 weeks straight, so fast that its organs fail, its legs break under its own weight. It goes blind because of the toxins in its own feces, and then it has its throat slit alongside 10,000 or so of its brothers and sisters. I think that's an extreme amount of pain and suffering for what is trivial pleasure, which is the taste on your lips. Would you agree?
Well, I'll say that all of civilization is about chasing triviality. And at the same time, I think that suffering...
On that, do you think that's too much suffering for the...
I would definitely also say that suffering is inevitable and it's essential.
It's inevitable.
Hold on. Wait, let me check my food.
But you can minimize it, right? Is there too much there?
So as an emergency medicine doc who takes care of suffering all the time...
I'm happy to...
Okay. Did he just say that all of existence, everything we do is trivial? The entire point of existence is trivial? That's exactly my problem with like people like this, is that it's like they think that because everything is useless and meaningless, then you might as well just enjoy what you have. It's like no. And then what's crazy is like, okay, sorry, let me finish that thought. No, not everything is meaningless. There are a lot of things in life that are meaningful, and we strive for those things. Just because we strive for those meaningful things in the midst of meaninglessness doesn't make anything trivial about that. It's not trivial to want to live life. If you think that life is trivial, then you might as well be dead. There's no point to you. Like the fact that and so like if that's the way you think, and if my mentality is you might as well be dead, then the fact that I respect you enough as a person to continue to try to enhance your life by paying taxes or doing this or accepting you into the fold, that is the least trivial thing that could ever be, where you are loving your enemy. There is nothing less trivial than that virtue. So it's like it's the entire fulfillment of his character there in that, or fulfillment of that personality trait of his is just completely wrong. Secondly, he just said all of life is suffering. Also wrong. Not really. I get it. I'm depressed. I get it. Sure. All of life is suffering. Sure. So 6-7, you know what I mean? Are we gonna just start slicing people at the throat because who cares? I mean, it's nihilistic. It's stupid.
Let's talk about that, but if you can just say, is that too much suffering imparted onto the chicken?
That particular example?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes
to sustain 8 billion people across the world, I would say
It doesn't
is
take-
not
It's easier
trivial.
to sustain 8 billion people without having animal agriculture.
It's possible. I'd like to hear the mechanistic argument for that. But I will say, as a philosophy, you're a philosopher. I'm an ER doctor.
Well, there are 30 to 60 million children that are dying every year from starvation. UNICEF put it at 30 million. Dr. Rich Doppelander puts it at 60 million. And so every year you got 30 to 60 million. In 82% of those cases, the children are dying in places where the majority of the meat has been given to cattle and sold to more affluent countries. That's Ethiopia. That's Sudan. Sudan is the hungriest country major in the world, and it has one of the biggest livestocks in all of Africa. So you can feed these people if you go to plant-based. You need 75% less land, and the amount of agriculture which is used towards supporting these non-human animals to slaughter them, that's one of the biggest causes of not being able to feed.
You're talking about a massive problem across billions of people across many...
No, you're not. No, you're the one who brought it up. You're the one who brought up world hunger and starvation and stuff, wasn't he? Wasn't he? Again, and I love my friend Venus told me this. When it comes to animals, like they're the ones who eat the plants. So if we just skip that middleman, then we eat the plants, we get the protein, we get the food, we get the nourishment. Like, I understand that there are people in the world who need meat to survive. I understand that they can't do a plant-based diet because it's not enough for them physically. That's fine. If you need to eat meat, that's fine. But nobody is arguing that humans are worse than animals or that humans are less than animals. We're just arguing that they deserve rights too. That's all. I'll be back. I'm going to get some rice.
Geographies, and I think what you bring up is probably true. But at the same time, I don't think the solution to it is just either you're vegan or you're not. And what I mean to say is this about suffering, is that When you take care of people with strokes, heart attacks, domestic abuse, bear attacks, they're also violent predators that eat all sorts of things in addition to us. You start to understand that there's two types of suffering. And I think that's the most important part.
There's
two types of suffering. There's senseless suffering and there's meaningful suffering. And I think what you have to understand is that when you can create meaning behind suffering,
there's gratuitous
you can
suffering. That's the main thing.
it.
There's a necessary suffering.
When you can create meaning behind suffering. So all the chickens and cows and sheep and pigs that die for me to eat and to be happy, that's meaningful suffering. They're dying for a purpose. You know what their purpose is? For me to stick my fingers up my ass to give myself an orgasm. That's their purpose. I'm having a good time. I'm glad. I'm happy. Come on.
And that's the vegan claim. I take veganism to be the practical, ethical rule to avoid products and practices that cause unnecessary suffering. So would you agree that if you can do something without the suffering, you ought to do it without the suffering? Yes or no?
Are you against domestication
If you
of
answer that,
livestock?
then I'm happy to respond. If you think you can do something without suffering.
I'm so glad he did that. Answer my question before you move on to another topic. I love that. I love that. I do that all the time.
Or you do that.
I don't think avoiding suffering is the highest good.
What is the highest good? I've just told you that every major
The
world
highest
philosophy.
good is meaning.
I've just told you every single major
Yes.
world religion,
The
and
only
every
commonality
secular
with major
philosophy
religions is that they're all
thinks
human
that
beings.
extreme suffering
They're all human beings that
does
deal
not
with
justify
inevitability.
trivial pleasure. Can you name
Yeah.
one world philosophy that thinks that extreme suffering can justify trivial pleasure?
I don't need to name a philosophy. I think what it is that in the ER,
So it's just what you-
in
it's just how you
reality,
feel. It's just how you feel.
when I'm taking care of people recently diagnosed with cancer, or they have a child that died,
Well,
etc.
that's significant. Look, there are two big studies on overall general health outcomes. The EPIC survey at the University of Oxford looked at 500,000 people over the last 30 years, and the Christian Adventist study in the United States of America that looked at 75,000 people. In both these studies, it's found that the Adventist study in the United States of America looked at 500,000 people over the last 30 years, and the Christian Adventist study in the United States of America that looked at 75,000 people. In both these studies, it's found that you're likely to live significantly longer, less risk of heart disease, less risk of cancer, less risk of diabetes, less risk of obesity if you're vegan rather than eating meat. This
Yeah.
is the most obese country on the face of the planet in terms of the global, in terms of being a major country.
I would agree.
75% of people in this country are overweight and obese.
I
Present
know
company
it
excluded.
very. I know it very clearly. I'm responsible
Okay,
for their
pause.
health as well.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Hold on, I'm gonna get some more rice. Sorry. Chat, is orange chicken American? Is orange chicken a Chinese food? Yeah, it's considered Chinese American. Made by Panda Express, literally by Panda Express. That's a hard one. Okay.
Please go back to
Thank
your
you.
seat.
Hey, nice to meet you. How's it going, bud?
Dr. Symes?
Nice to
Pleasure
meet
to
you.
meet
What's
you.
your name, sorry?
My name is Brian.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
You have a PhD in philosophy?
I do, yeah.
That was my first major.
Oh, cool, nice.
Okay.
Where'd you study?
Philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean?
Where did you study?
Oh, University of Texas, San Antonio.
Very nice.
Yeah, I
I've
actually
visited a couple
went to
times.
the National Ethics Bowl.
Oh, cool.
and
That's
competed in
great.
it. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's so what do you think of the claim? I made the claim earlier to one of your peers that there's no major world philosophy that thinks that extreme suffering justifies
course.
trivial pleasure. Would you agree with that?
So, can we just stick like point by point rather than bouncing around? I just want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So,
just that claim.
so what I heard from you is that you believe in minimalizing suffering.
I think all of the major world philosophies hold
Correct.
some version of that to be true. Yeah.
So I will not defend factory farming. There is another way of producing meat, and it is regenerative agriculture.
Okay.
And regenerative agriculture reduces all of the harm. Okay.
Doesn't reduce all of the harm. The first,
Well, the majority of the harm, they live beautiful lives on regenerative
just
ranches.
one bad day, right?
Right, absolutely.
One bad
And
day.
they
I've had
don't-
bad days.
and
Bad
they
hair
don't know
days.
that it's coming, but
achy
they're
back.
serving.
No one's ever
They're
slit my
serving
throat
their
with
purpose.
10,000
But they're
slit
okay.
my
But here's the
throat.
deal: would they even exist in the first place if they weren't being harvested
Here
for
are
meat?
two-
No. Let
here
me
are
just
two
let me ask you a
things. The first
question.
thing to say-
Do they have the right to
I'll let you finish,
exist?
and then I'll come
Yeah,
back.
because you're cutting me off. Do they have the right to exist?
Well,
Because here's the deal. If you're saying that we should not harvest them, then those animals are never going to exist. So I guarantee if they had consciousness and
Right.
you put them down and you said, here are the scenarios,
finish, and then I'll
you
let
can
you speak.
either exist and you can have one back.
What? His argument is basically like the purpose of this animal is to die for me. I am its god. It is for me, but I will give it as best of a life as I can. But it's like it's inherently flawed, right? Because I'm not even thinking about like the killing thing. Like, okay, sure, everything dies, so you know, why not utilize that death to its greatest produce, right? But what about like the eggs of a chicken? Like, okay, so the eggs of a chicken fall, right, and you get the eggs, but what happens if that egg only produces 2 chickens or 2 eggs or 1 egg? What if it just stops producing eggs? Then you kill it. Like, you're ultimately still having it be like a product, right? And let's see, this is a good one. It's actually a good one. It's actually a pretty good one. But I'm thinking about like the environment of the chicken. What is the environment of the chicken? Are you gonna have it in a cage? Or are you gonna have it free roam? It's like at the end of the day, you're still having it be in a terrible position because it's still being utilized for you. And then on top of that, you're still kind of like teetering the boundary between factory farming and regenerative farming, right? Because you're still trying to supply a demand, right? So it's like, okay, so what are the boundaries that we're going to set for what is morally or ethically correct and what is not, right? And it's like, at the end of the day, why is that even a question? Like, why do you have to choose between what is and what isn't? Why can't it just be completely what is? Especially with the fact that veganism is a significantly healthy and you know, considerable diet.
Bad day, and you can serve a purpose, and you can have a beautiful life. You can make a positive contribution to the environment.
Would you be happy
You can
if
make
your
a.
purpose
Can I
was
finish?
to be
Can I
slaughtered?
finish?
Yeah, but you're taking a
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt, I've heard the case. I
So,
want to
so,
respond.
so when I die, I want to be
there's a few
buried in the
things that you
soil,
said that are
and I
wrong.
want to
The first thing to
decompose
say
so that my
is
carbon returns
conscientious
to
farming
grass.
is a myth. The conscientious farming is a myth because
You're not
still gonna
addressing
eat
my
meatless.
points.
You're still
You are
gonna-
not addressing
I'm
my
addressing
points.
right
You are
now.
deflecting because I
I'm
literally
not
backed you into a
deflecting.
corner.
The conscientious farming.
What about all of the mice?
There are more
What about
important
all of
things
the
than
rabbits
cows,
that
pigs,
die?
chickens,
Have you
and
ever spent
turkeys.
time on a farm?
Yeah, there's.
Have you
I've
ever
worked on a
talked farm to farmers?
I've
Okay, and
worked on
how
a
many
farm.
mice, how many rabbits are murdered to produce
80%
vegetables?
of all of
How
the
many are
vegetables
murdered to
that are grown,
produce vegetables?
80% of all of them are fed to
won't
factory
address it. You
farms.
literally
I've
won't
just
address these
told you,
issues.
80% of all of soy is given to non-human animals. Only 7%
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you
is
right there.
given to
The
human
soy
beings.
is
I'll let
grown
you
for the
speak, so I'll
oil.
carry
The
on.
soy is grown for the oil.
So
It
the
is literally
overwhelming majority-
extracted.
Hannah
The
Ritchie
leftover
says-
product is then fed to cattle. That is a
You're not here
manipulative
for a discussion.
statistic.
You're not here for-
If I remember correctly, I watched a video about this. I don't think that's necessarily true. We'll watch a video about that. Let me hold on, chat. Let me pull up some videos that I watched. Or actually, I might as well pull them up right now, huh? We can watch them right now. Okay. It was Dan. I think his name's Dan. Yeah, Danny is Hey. Right here.
You are not addressing my
Address
points.
them right
You are
now.
deflecting because I
I'm
literally
not
backed you into a
deflecting.
corner.
The conscientious farmer.
What about all of the mice?
There are more
What about
important
all of
things
the
than
rabbits
cows,
that
pigs,
die?
chickens,
Have you
and
ever spent
turkeys.
time on a farm?
Yeah,
Have you ever talked farm to farmers? Okay, and how many mice, how many rabbits are murdered to produce
80%.
vegetables?
Bringing up that animals die in crop production as a justification for breeding, exploiting, and killing animals for their flesh. Humans also die in crop production. Does this justify farming humans? Of course not. Also, if you have an interest in lowering crop deaths, consuming a plant-based diet makes more sense given more plants are required to produce animal products than plants we consume, given how many crops are fed to animals. They don't just eat air. Amazing.
You are not addressing my
address
points.
them
You
right
are
now.
I
deflecting
wanna watch
because
that
I
again,
literally
and I wanna
backed
pay
you into a
attention to that.
corner.
The conscientious farmer.
What about all of the mice?
There are more
What about
important
all of
things
the
than
rabbits
cows,
that
pigs,
die?
chickens,
Have you
and
ever spent
turkeys.
time on a farm?
Yeah, there's.
Have you ever talked farm to farmers? Okay, and how many mice, how many rabbits are murdered to produce
80%.
vegetables?
Bringing up that animals
Bringing
die in
up that
crop
animals die in crop. Missing endangered alert. Colton McKinn, age 20, white male, 5'10", 150 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. Last seen April 3rd in Idaho Falls. He has a tattoo on the Colton. Is currently home. To believed to be in danger. If you have any information, 5'10", 20. Okay, white male, brown hair, brown eyes, tattoo on his neck. Gotcha. Got it.
production as a justification
Okay. Eating animals
for breeding,
as-
exploiting,
dang it. I can't repeat it, but I know what he
and
said.
killing animals for their flesh. Humans also.
I don't know what he said. Let's repeat.
You are not addressing my points.
Right
You are
now.
deflecting because I
I'm
literally
not
backed you into a
deflecting.
corner.
The conscientious farmer.
What about all of the mice?
There are more
What about
important
all of
things
the
than
rabbits
cows,
that
pigs,
die?
chickens,
Have you
and
ever spent
turkeys.
time on a farm?
Yeah, there's.
Have you ever talked farm to farmers? Okay, and how many mice, how many rabbits are murdered to produce
80%.
vegetables?
Bringing up that
It's actually a different video.
animals
Animals die
die in crop production
in crop production. Okay.
as
Yeah.
a justification for
Which is stupid because most of those, which is what that guy was saying, 80% of the crops are fed to animals.
breeding, exploiting, and killing
So it's just animals being killed for other animals.
animals for their flesh. Humans also
Humans also
die in
die
crop production.
in crop production.
Does this justify farming humans?
Does this justify farming humans? Oh, this is a skewed point of view, isn't it? It's like to say that like the guy is arguing that animals die during crop production, so we might as well just. So I mean, it goes to show that animals are just not as important, but humans die. Okay, so I kind of see where he's coming from. Humans die in crop production. Does that mean no? Because it's an intentional death versus an accidental death.
Humans, of course not. Also, if you have an interest in lowering
If you have
crop
an
deaths,
interest in lowering crop deaths,
consuming a plant-based diet makes more sense given
from tons to people nourished per acre.
more plants are
Right,
required to produce animal
right. There's more there's more plants being used for animals, which is why. So I mean, you'd be lowering it if everybody would
products
go
and
to a
plants we
plant-based
consume,
diet
given how many
anyways.
crops are fed to animals. They don't just eat air. Amazing.
Yeah, incredible. That wasn't the one I was looking for. It was this one
I
right
just
here.
address these
told you,
issues.
80% of all of soy is given to non-human animals. Only
I'm going to
7%
stop you right there. I'm going to stop you
is
right there.
given to
The
human
soy
beings.
is
I'll let
grown
you
for the
speak, so
oil.
carry
The
on.
soy is grown for the oil.
So-
It
The soy is grown for
is
the
literally
oil.
extracted.
Hannah
The
Ritchie
leftover
says-
product is then fed to.
So we use soy oil. I don't ever recall using
Cattle, that is
soy
a
oil.
manipulative
for
statistic.
anything.
It is literally the byproduct. They grow the soy for the oil. Even
I doubt that.
if it wasn't being fed to the animals, they would still
let's
grow the
find
soy.
out.
So about 76%, not 80% of global soy is used for animal
80% of soy is
feed,
used
while
for
only
animal
13%
feed.
becomes oil.
Only 13% becomes oil.
Well, imagine looking at this chart and thinking soy is primarily in demand because of oil and not animal feed. And it's no coincidence that production of soybeans in the last 50 years has gone up significantly, while global meat production has more than tripled, with this increase mostly driven by demand for chickens and pigs, both of which consume the majority of soy used as animal feed. And here's Dr. Matthew Nagar with more destruction.
We can most generously call it a co-product or consider the oil to be the byproduct. The demand for soybeans is tied to global meat consumption. If we didn't produce so much soy to feed to animals, which can also be used to produce oils, we would just shift to producing other oils which could actually save money and resources. That's because soybeans actually have a lower oil yield than rapeseed, sunflower, and palm oil.
Exactly.
So he's got it completely backwards.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you wanted to, if your main goal was oil, you'd be using oil in different ways. The idea of like using soy for oil is ridiculous. So you're not using it for the oil. You're doing it for the animals. You want to feed the animals. I get it. There's influence from the oil, but it's still, it's like, again, you're still trying to justify the murder of animals, and it just doesn't make sense.
For discussion, you won't address the point.
I've just
You-
let me respond.
Go back to the soy. Go back to the soy. Go back to the soy.
Yeah,
Go
I
back
am.
to the soy.
I gotta raise
75%
this.
reduction, according to Hannah Ritchie in 2022. She says that's our world in data.
Okay.
You get a 75% reduction in all agricultural land. 30% of all your agricultural land is given to cattle. We've got 80 to
Okay,
90% species
you're not addressing the
extinction.
soy
You've got
statistic that
80
you
to
just brought up.
90% species
You're not
extinction.
addressing the
You've got
soy statistic.
91%
85%.
deforestation.
It is literally the byproduct. They grow the soy for the oil. Even if it wasn't being fed to the animals, they would
No,
still
that's
grow the
not
soy.
true. Only
That is
13%
true.
of it.
That is true.
I've
No,
got
no,
the
no, no.
reference right here.
Yeah, and you don't understand the statistic. If you go and actually look at the statistic, all of the soy is taken, the oil is suppressed, and then the byproduct is what is fed to the animal. And it is 85% of it is left over, and that's what's
As
fed
I've
to the
just
animal.
said, 80 to 90% according to the WWF and
You're
the UN.
deflecting.
Why?
You
How's
are
that?
deflecting.
Tell me how that's deflecting.
You are deflecting.
Tell me how that's deflecting.
So you
Tell
brought
me
up
how
a
that's deflecting.
statistic, and you said that 85% of soy is
No, I
fed
didn't
to
say
cattle.
80%.
80, whatever you said. You said the majority of soy is fed to
Listen to me,
cattle.
bro.
Did you not?
I said 80%.
Yeah, okay. 80, so really, now you're going to argue about 5%. You understand the intent. So you're saying that the majority of soy is fed to cattle, and
Yes.
I'm telling you that that is inaccurate. It's not as if the soybean in it. Listen to me. Listen to me. It's the nuance. It is the nuance that you were trying to deflect with. It is not as if 80% of all soy is fed to cattle in
Here's
its
what's happening.
natural state. The
overwhelming
oil is
majority of
extracted,
land
and then
in
the
USA
byproduct is
being
fed.
used because of factory farming for the raising cattle.
I'm not defending
80
factory
to
farming.
90%
I am
of all
not
your
defending
wildlife
factory
extinction.
farming.
Your original
Argue
point,
against regenerative
original point was
agriculture.
that having cows,
Argue
pigs, chickens,
against regenerative
turkeys.
agriculture.
Yes.
Argue against regenerative
Yes,
agriculture.
because it
Those
destroys the
animals do
wildlife,
not-
because it destroys the
No, it
climate.
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
According to the UN, 91% of all deforestation is caused by animal agriculture. According to the WWF and the UN, 80 to 90%
So-
of all wildlife extinction is caused by animal.
What's the concept of regenerative agriculture? It's basically what? Like, I feel like the way he was describing it, I don't know what it is. Let's find out. Holistic land management approach that restores soil health, biodiversity, while mitigating climate change by sequestering carbon. Unlike sustainable agriculture, which aims to reduce harm. Okay, this is great and all, but you're not going to meet the demand. Like, I get it, but there's so much that goes into regenerative agriculture that you're not going to meet the demand of you know, of the United States or any other country by doing this. You're just not. You're just going to be taking a lot more land, a lot more resources to produce a fraction of what we produce today. So at that point, we're not talking about whether it's sustainable or whether it's, you know, a good way of supporting the market. It's about the death of that animal, right? That's what they're talking about. The death of the animal is okay as long as it has a good life. But let's say that, like, the death of the animal's life is 2 months long. Like, I guess my point is, like, who's to say what is and what isn't the life? Like, the human, because the human is meant to be in the position of God. Like, I get it. I'm not saying no to the concept of humans having authority over animals. I'm just saying I don't think that we're meant to be in that position. I don't think we have the power or authority to be put in that position. I just don't think it's likely. I think that it would cause a lot more friction than it would good.
Animal agriculture.
To
Just
make
because
that
she's
decision.
using that land.
Who have hunting
Yeah,
leases?
35%.
Listen, ranchers who have hunting leases, meaning that they have a ranch, they have land, they don't allow animals on there. They will literally have ranchers bring their cattle in there and flash graze the grass because guess what? It improves the entire ecosystem and
creates
it provides
dead
no
zones.
energy.
What do you think's
It
happening to the
provides-
Amazon? What's the leading cause of
What happened in Yellowstone when they reintroduced
What's
wolves?
the leading cause of
What
deforestation in the
happened-
Amazon?
what happened-
What's the leading cause of
what
deforestation
happened in
the Amazon?
Yellowstone
What's
when they
the- so you're
reintroduced
not
wolves?
interested in having a conversation, are you? You went
They're
answer my
doing-
question.
they're doing it
I've
for
responded-
They're both cool, but they're both not trying to have a conversation with each other, and that's upsetting. One of them needs to kind of slow down a little bit, and it's not happening. It's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying. I've been through that. I only exclusively go through that, so I know like it's a, I'm not judging anyone for that. It is annoying though, because it's like we're trying to have a conversation, we're not getting it,
Soy.
All of your points.
Okay, but here's
and
the
I'm
deal,
asking
though.
you one question.
The
That
deforestation
one question.
is related to factory farming. You can get
No,
rid of
it's
the
not.
deforestation.
You think
Yes,
you got
it is.
factory farms in
Yes,
the
it
Amazon?
is.
Sorry, have you been to?
They're doing it
Okay,
for
pause,
soy.
pause,
They're
pause.
doing it for soy.
You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
That was a harsh one. That one sucked. Red girl.
Then I realized the more you bundle, the more you save on insurance with Liberty Bibbity.
It's like you're talking my love
I'm
language.
sorry, chat.
Well, I've been taking word classes online.
Wow.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Your perfect domain is out there. Go to Wix and make it yours.
How's it going? What's your name? Sorry.
B.
Nice to meet you.
Girl
B.
Gone Carnivore, actually.
You're carnivore.
I am carnivore. Full carnivore.
You
So this will be fun.
Go on.
Okay, yeah, you
Why
do
are you
you.
a carnivore?
I do it mainly because I can't survive without meat.
Can't survive.
I cannot survive
like a
without
desert
it.
island scenario for you every day.
It is. It truly is.
What condition do you have? If you don't mind. Can't survive.
I cannot survive
like a
without
desert
it.
island scenario.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. I like this. I mentioned this earlier. Like some people can't survive without it. They need meat. So desert island scenario, pretty interesting.
every day.
It is. It truly is.
What condition do you have? If you don't mind me asking.
Sure. I have gastroesophagus reflux disease.
Okay.
And so I cannot eat a vegetarian or vegan diet. I will literally get very, very sick. And I was actually vegan vegetarian when I was 16 years old. And that's when I got diagnosed. I've been on a journey. Thank you.
You've seen dietitians, you've spoken to GPs, you've seen doctors.
I've seen doctors, I've seen GPs. They've all put me on medications, and I was on medication for over 10 years that actually ended up depleting my vitamin D levels and put me in great amounts of depression.
Okay.
And I was also told by doctors that I would never be able to power lift again. I am now lifting 315 pounds with a deadlift.
Mm-hmm. And you couldn't find any of the, like, all of the amino acids, all of.
What? 315 pounds with deadlift? I'm not. Look, guys. I want you guys to comment on this because I don't know. I don't know, right? I'm weak. I'm a little boy. I go to the gym once in a while. I should go to the gym today. I'm probably not. I'm not. They're gonna close pretty soon. I'm a construction worker. I'll lift heavy things. I'll work. I'll do heavy things, okay? I'm a normal guy. I'm not strong. I'm not weak. I'm right in the middle. Maybe even a little less than the middle because I'm also kind of narrow in stature. With that being said, if you're lifting 315 pounds in weight as a hobby, like, I guess my point is, like, that's your choice, right? Like, that's your choice. Like, you're choosing to do that. But what I'm trying to say is that probably has a strenuous amount of, like, strain on the body, right? Not strenuous. It has an extreme amount of strain to the body, right? By doing that. So it's like, obviously, with meat and other things, you might have, like, you might be burning more fat, or you might be, like, benefiting from meat the same way you wouldn't benefit from smaller quantities of vegetables or this or that. I don't know. What I'm saying, though, is that it's kind of weird. It kind of sounds like a her problem and not a human body problem. It sounds like she's kind of a little too intense. I don't know. I want you to comment on that. and teach me, because I don't know, it's just my mentality.
The nutrients you needed in a plant-based diet?
Unfortunately, I could not.
What was it you were missing?
Mainly protein. I cannot consume enough protein from vegetation that I need to get it from meat.
There's a study by Miguel Lopez, a big one yet last year in 2025 Journal of Sport Medicine, that looks at over 8,000 papers across protein intake, and found there was no difference in terms of protein intake and upper body strength, lower body strength, and overall body strength. So I'm always surprised to meet somebody who says that this just doesn't work. Obviously great athletes who take on a lot of protein as well. And when you look at basic things like, your tofu per portion is going to have more protein than your eggs. Your seitan's going to have nearly twice as much protein as your lean meat, your sirloin steak. Your soy milk's going to have more protein than your whole or semi-skimmed milk. So I'm always surprised to hear people can't get the protein. I wonder, did you do those things? Did you carefully pick all those
It's an
out?
inflammation issue, really, when it comes down to it. So anytime I eat any other foods that are not meat, I get tons of inflammation. And so I can't physically lift. I can't physically really move. I feel very ill.
Yeah.
And so meat actually makes it where I can live and then strive.
Do you want to be vegan?
I do not want to be vegan.
Why?
I do not want to be vegan because it makes me sick. But
like if you were, you didn't have these health conditions?
if I didn't have these health conditions and I could eat whatever I wanted, it's possible, but that's a really good question. I really feel like maybe. Yeah.
Maybe you probably would.
Maybe. I mean, right? If I had no adverse effects to the vegan foods, then maybe.
So do you try? I think conscientious farming is a myth, but do you try and get the meat-based and animal-based products that you get from as ethically as possible?
I have. I'm not going to say that I do it all the time, because I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie to you. But my brother's actually a farmer out in Texas, and I try the best that I can to get my meat from my brother, because I find that that's the best way to do it. I've actually went out to Texas and processed a cow with him. So
They're not talking about the topic here, first off. Secondly, I like how cool he's been. I also like that he asked that question: do you want to be vegan if this wasn't an option? She had never even thought about that before. But the fact that she said, yeah, probably, it goes to show that she's not even arguing with him at this point. Like, there's no argument here.
I was actually there. He shot the cow, and then we processed it. And it was an experience for me because I actually got to see where my meat comes from, as opposed to just being blindly eating.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure I'd enjoy it more if I got to see the creatures being.
Well, my family, they were butchers, and so I like to, just kind of continue that in my family. But I was a vegan vegetarian, like I said, and when I was younger, and I do see where you were coming from as far as like where it could be ethically more sound. But unfortunately,
I've looked everywhere because I've sort of met a bunch of people like you. And I'm always, like I say, I'm always skeptical because the stuff that I read seems to go in the opposite direction. The only study I found said it was about 0.1 to 0.2% of people have a condition like yours where they actually need the meat. But it seems like, when I meet people, it's more like 10% of people. So I do find it hard to, just to be honest, I find it hard to believe.
Yeah,
just in general.
and that's fair.
So many people
but hey,
that say things like this.
Sure.
And I'd just encourage you to, to go as far towards veganism as possible, right?
Okay, but
All right,
You
pause.
want to be a vegan.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
okay, we didn't really
Cheers.
do
Thank you
the
so much.
thing, but
I
that's
appreciate
okay.
it. Thank you. Hopefully speak to you in a moment. Thank you.
That was a good one. It was good. It was. I mean, it was pretty bad if I'm being honest. What is that? What is that? Chat. Let's see here. Playback speed. Let's bring that down. What? Okay. First hand. Chat, what is that? Mad. I kind of want to watch that again, if I'm being honest. It's fine.
Nice to meet you, Daniela. Jack.
Yeah, so I first became vegetarian at 8 years old. I had
wow.
seen PETA videos online, and I told my
At
mom.
8 years old?
Yes.
That's bad parenting right there. That's horrific stuff.
Yeah, I decided I didn't want to do it, and then at 16,
Wait,
I went
what?
vegan.
Right there. That's horrific.
PETA videos online, and I told my mom.
Oh, he's talking about the animal cruelty stuff at 8 years old.
8 years old?
Yes.
That's bad parenting right there. That's horrific stuff.
Yeah, I decided I didn't want to do it, and then at 16, I went vegan.
Yeah, nice.
And all whole foods plant-based vegan, so I wasn't having seed oils.
I hear it. I heard it in her voice. She's gonna say she needs to be a meat eater.
Or
Were you taking supplements?
no, I was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I subsequently developed PCOS symptoms as well as gout.
Yeah.
So eating. So
It
you are
do
pro.
be like that.
Yeah, you are against whole foods plant-based.
Yeah, I think any sensible nutritionist will say that you need to make sure you're doing it properly. You need to be doing it carefully, and that means for a start taking a B12 tablet.
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we do lots of unnatural things, flying on planes, watching television. I think going straight to the source and just having a B12 tablet is absolutely fine. I think when you put those two diets in front of someone, like if we're not in this debate and someone said to you, right, here's one diet where you take a B12 tablet, and here's another one where you've got an increased risk of heart disease, more likely to be obese, more likely to develop all kinds of cancers, and you're going to live 15 to 20% longer according to the Christian Adventist study here in the United States, then I think most people would go for that one. I think we need better information of let's not go for just a whole foods diet without that nutrition.
Yeah, I will say, since I'm responding to your claim, I do agree with your claim. That was the
cool.
biggest thing that bothered me about being a vegan or vegetarian, and people would always go and they'd say, "Oh, but what about bacon?"
Come back.
You know.
Come back to the light.
Well,
Just take the B12 tablet and become vegan.
but I'm not pro allopathic medicine. I don't think that these supplements are really beneficial.
Yes, they are. These big health studies show that 500,000 people, University of Oxford, 75,000 people, the Christian Adventist study.
How is there a way to have veganism though without cities?
she's
I'm
under-
not pro
Come on.
cities.
Chat.
Yeah, I'm not.
Chat. What are the chances that this flag started right when she started talking? That's what I want to know. Let's go.
Pro
1738.
cities, I think.
Let's see.
Diet without that nutrition.
Yeah, I will say, since I'm responding to your claim, I do agree with your claim that
Foods. I think most people 15 to 20 more likely to develop all kinds of cancer risk. Said to you, absolutely fine things, fines, any sense.
yeah, you are against whole foods plant-based.
Yeah, I think any sensible take nutritionist.
Yeah, you have symptoms as well as gout.
Yeah.
So eating. So
It-
you
it
are
do
pro.
be like that.
Yeah, you are against whole foods plant-based.
Yeah, I think any sensible nutritionist will say that you need to make sure you're doing it properly. You need to be doing it carefully, and that means for a start taking a B12 tablet.
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So
I think
they're
we do
they're
lot-
raising their flag because they realize that she's trying to be whole foods plant based, and he's saying you don't necessarily
So
need to be. So it's like at that point the argument is already over
Go for that.
because the
Yeah,
foundation's
me
already
about
kind of
Come
done
back
for.
allopathic medicine.
that.
Cities.
cities.
Cultural
Okay,
revolution.
fair enough.
You know,
I'm not-
that's
all
not
right.
something I'm for
I was
in
gonna
any
try and
regard.
argue
I think
something
that's been
sexist.
very
I don't understand
disastrous.
how
Guess not.
veganism's linked to cities.
They're fine, I guess.
Well, why wouldn't it be if you need to have all?
Hold on, what?
Yeah, I'm not pro cities. I think you talk later about
People, the Christian Adventist study.
how is there a way to have veganism though without cities? I'm not pro
Without
cities.
cities.
Yeah, supplements are really beneficial.
Of course they are. These big health studies show that 500,000 people, University of Oxford, 75,000 people, the Christian Adventist study.
How is there a way to have veganism though without cities? I'm not pro
Without
cities.
cities.
Yeah, I'm not pro cities. I think you talk later about factory farming, which is a product of the Industrial Revolution. That's
Yeah.
not something I'm for in any regard. I think that's been very
I don't
disastrous.
understand how veganism's linked to cities.
Well, why wouldn't it be? If you need to have all of these supplements and you need to have all of this mass
Oh,
production.
it's just one
so-
supplement. It's just a B12 supplement.
Yeah, but you'd also
And you
need
can
to
get that
factory.
from nuts and stuff
pause.
too, right?
Pause has been voted out by the majority.
And you can get that from nuts and stuff too, huh? I love that. She seems just kind of like this girl who's trying her best to be like this like trad wife type of thing. I don't know. I get it. But like I do get it. But to completely reject society like that is just kind of like you're rejecting the wrong parts of society there, B12 supplements, and the fact that we have those is a really good thing, as opposed to, you know, like thievery that comes from cities and stuff. Like, that's, you can reject that, that's fine. Racism, you can reject that, that's fine. Like immunizations though, vaccines, 6, 7.
Return to your seat.
Yeah, well, welcome back to veganism.
Oh, she's gonna get it. That's crazy. Why didn't anybody else go there?
It's meant to be.
All right, hi, nice to meet you.
I've seen a video of this girl.
My
She's
name
a
is
little
Nicole
crazy.
Ashley.
Nice to meet you, Nicole Ashley.
Yes.
Jack, how you doing?
I'm great. I think killing plants is murder, though.
Oh, dude, don't do this. Come on, you're joking. You're trolling.
ripping
Okay. Okay.
it from the ground. You're ripping it from its mother. It's murder. And I enjoy the trivial pleasure of doing what the lions, what the hyenas, what the tigers have done for history.
See. Come on, you're joking. You're trolling.
Ripping it from the ground.
Look at
You're
this
ripping
Ooga
it from
Booga guy
its
in the back
mother.
here. Look.
It's murder.
Oh, yeah.
And I enjoy the trivial pleasure
Oh,
of
yeah.
doing what the lions, what the hyenas, what the
Losers.
tigers have done for history.
So you think plants can feel pain?
Yes, they can.
So you want to reduce that pain?
You know why?
Do you wanna
Because I have an azalea, and when
Oh,
I
what a good point. Oh, what a good point.
don't give it enough light, that thing dies, so it feels it.
Yeah, I think
so
killing-
plants have feelings
Okay.
too.
Right. Do you think we should reduce the amount of pain that plants are experiencing?
Yes, we should. Plants matter. Hashtag plants.
Okay. Sure. Sure. Plants matter. Animals matter. One feels pain less because they don't have any nerve receptors. And if they do, they, you know, 6, 7. So how about we pull back? We're both on the same page here. Let's pull back and just try to work as minimally as we can without extenuating that suffering, right? I don't even think extenuating is a word, by the way.
Matter.
Okay. So according to Hannah Ritchie 2022, you get a 75% reduction in all of the land that you need for farming. So if, given the fact you're getting 40 to 1 in your calories and 30 to 1 in your protein from plants to animals then slaughtered, you get a 75 calories and 30 land that you need for farming. So if, given the fact you're getting 40 to 1 in your calories and 30 to 1 in your protein from plants to animals then slaughtered, you get a 75% decrease in the plants that you're going to kill
This is how
if you
we've
go
been living
vegan.
for history. And I have to say this. When
Okay.
I go and don't give my fern enough light, it feels. Okay? When
Well,
I don't
that's-
give it any water, it feels.
Right, two things. I'll let you do whatever that was. So you'll hear me out. The first thing to say is that we don't want to. In philosophy, we call it the principle of parsimony. That just basically means we don't want to attribute unnecessary attributes to something if we can explain it without positing it. What does that mean? Plants don't have central nervous systems, and their behavior can be explained without positing that they have minds that can experience pain,
But they
pleasure,
still have
happiness, and
feelings.
stuff. No, they don't. There's no
Plant
reason to think
lives
that.
matter.
No, they don't.
They do.
They don't.
They do.
The
They
second
get
thing-
sunlight, photosynthesis.
Just quickly.
They
No, because I don't want to do
feel.
the natural argument as well, and I want to get this one out of the way really quickly. I'll see if I can do.
I get it. She's not arguing, she's mocking. There's no debate here. Look at her. Look at her stupid face. She has absolutely zero consciousness of what's going on here. She doesn't care. She's not having an argument. She's mocking. She just wants to laugh at me. Cool. Alrighty. Get it all out. Get on your way.
It in 30 seconds, and I promise it'll be really quick. The argument they gave from nature is one of the biggest, one of the worst arguments for being an anti-vegan. And why? Because there are lots of things that are predisposed through our natures that we shouldn't follow, right? We're naturally predisposed towards war, lying, cheating, stealing. That's part of the Christian tradition. They think St. Augustine of Hippo.
But what
6th
about
century,
to the
we should
caveman
avoid doing that.
times? The cavemen lived. They lived off of eating meat. So what is the big deal?
they ate very
I
little.
love me a juicy burger. And why should I be denied that when you guys are murderers too? Ripping a poor plant from its mama, from the mother earth. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah,
and we're out of time, baby. Let's do it.
I'm glad you got your clip. Thank you.
It's tax season, so people are thinking about money. Here's something most people don't think about until it's too late. My wife and I, we now compete to see whose credit score is.
I was so genuinely bothered by that. I have zero interest in fast forwarding this ad. I was so bothered by that I don't want to watch any more of this. It bothered me. I'm mad. I'm upset. That was stupid. That was the most ignorant thing I've ever seen. She didn't let anybody talk. She didn't care. There was no conversation. It was just mockery. They put somebody in there who they knew was just going to troll. It was just a troll. I didn't watch this to watch a troll. I watched it to get information. That annoyed me. That annoyed me very, very much. I think we're done here. Maybe we can watch one conversation from the next one. I'm just kind of interested. But we're gonna finish this video up after this
My
next
next
conversation.
surrounding claim is that everyone should aim to be vegan.
All right, if you would like to be the first debater for this claim, get to the chair in 3, 2,
I think this is good.
1.
Hi. Hey, what's your name?
Nathan.
Nice to meet you, Nathan.
Nice
How
to meet
goes
you
it?
as well. It goes pretty good. Yeah.
So the claim everyone should aim to be vegan, you happy with it?
No, and here's why. So I am a third-year med student, and so I'm going to be a physician, Lord willing, next year. So my goal is to take care of my patients. And I'll actually come out and say that the vegan diet tends to be healthier. Absolutely.
Great.
I don't think there's much dispute over that. You can look at the evidence. It is healthier.
There we go.
However,
Do you want to swap seats?
However, the biggest thing with the vegan diet from a physician's perspective you have to think about is, and it's been mentioned a couple times, is the micronutrient deficiencies that you can have.
B12.
B12 is one of them.
The tablet.
So B12.
You happy just taking the tablet?
No, but first let me just talk for a second. So for B12, it is a DNA precursor that helps synthesize red blood cells.
Yep.
When you don't have that, they become big and become what we call macrocytic anemia.
course.
And eventually, if you don't treat it long enough, you will have nerve damage, and we've seen that time and time again.
Early onset Alzheimer's, all that stuff. What your girl earlier on was, she did the whole foods diet, and as I said, then you need to take that B12 supplement.
So that's not the only thing, though. That's the problem, is that we also have calcium. Calcium is very important for bone density.
Yeah.
About 30%, if you're vegan diets exclusively, you are 30% likely to have a fracture. And Jubilee, you can fact check me on that.
No, but these are good, right? So the nutrition.
These are really good because I didn't know this. But get a B12 supplement and then get a calcium supplement.
Game we can pick out all these little things, but the overall health outcomes for the vegan are significantly better, aren't they?
So it depends. So as a physician,
the EPIC study at the University of Oxford, you'll be familiar. The Christian Adventist study here at the United States. That's 700,000 people over 30 years who have been tracked. 20% less like you're going to have a longer life by about 20%. Less likely to get cancer. Less likely to get diabetes. Here's what, can I ask you one question? Because I'm really interested. So the United States, you've got a lot of fat people.
Yes.
A lot of obese people, a lot of overweight people. The Christian Adventist study here in the US is interesting because they look at people who have got a similar religious background, similar alcohol and smoking intake, which is very, very little. And it found that the vegans had 4 to 5 lower BMI points than the meat eaters, which would literally take you from obese to perfect.
I am not in favor of the current American diet. I want to make that very clear. The diet that I'm in favor of, and that I will mention to all my patients who are struggling with BMI, is the Mediterranean diet, which I'm sure you are very aware of. It's actually very similar to the current American diet.
Eaters, which would literally. And it found that the vegans had 4 to 5 lower BMI points than the meat eaters, which would literally take you from obese to perfect.
I am not in favor of the current American diet. I want to make that very clear. The diet that I'm in favor of, and that I will mention to all my patients who are struggling with BMI, is the Mediterranean diet, which I'm sure you are very aware of. It's actually very similar to the vegan diet in that it has whole grains, legumes, seeds, fruits, and vegetables, which are all super important.
Why wouldn't you take the supplements?
Because why would I take supplements when I could just have lean meats like chicken and fish and turkey and things that I really enjoy?
By Junie Wang in 2019, where she found the fortifieds and the supplements were more easily absorbed by the body because they're already taken away from the fiber. So that's why you
So I actually disagree with that because
My mic was muted the entire time. I was saying that.
So for instance, omega-3s, fish have omega-3s.
You can get it from nuts as well,
So
though,
here's
right?
the thing:
You
is
can get
that
it
for
from
nuts, it's actually your body has to convert.
What I was saying is that it's cool that he was like, they're staying on the topic of personal health because that's not something I would talk about. I don't have interest in personal health. The end of the day, the last point that this conversation is about the fact that they're murdering animals. When the guy says, "Oh, why would I take supplements when it's easier for me to just get it from meat and stuff?" It's like, because you're not going to murder animals that way. It's like yeah, you'd have to go and take a pill, but hey, that's 1 second out of your life, and it's just that's the bottom line of it for me. So I'm glad that they're staying on the topic where he was like, well, it's actually easier to take these supplements, believe it or not.
It to what it
You
needs.
take your
So here's the
right?
thing: omega-3s, fit
from the fibers. So that's why you.
So I actually disagree with that because, so for instance, omega-3s, fish have omega-3s.
You can get it from nuts as well,
So
though,
here's
right?
the thing:
You
is
can get
that
it
for
from
nuts, it's actually your body has to convert it to what it
You
needs.
take your omega-3 tablet.
No. So
The algae?
omega-3 tablet, you need. So that's another tablet thing. Why would you do that when you could just take fish or something similar and just
there
be
are
able
a
to
bunch of
eat
reasons.
that?
There are a bunch of reasons. The one is the moral reason, which is significant. Our oceans are being destroyed. 3 to 10 trillion fish being taken out of the ocean. People complain about shark fin soup and they don't want whales being killed. The bykill is absolutely enormous. And when you're talking about the suffering for the non-human animals as well, when you talk about the cost, the University of Oxford study in 2021 found it's 30% cheaper to have a vegan or vegetarian diet than it is to have a meat-based diet. And the fish pescatarian diet was the most expensive out of all of them. So it's more affordable. If you're spending $10,000 on groceries as a house each year, you're going to save $3,000 by going vegan. That's a very strong argument for not going for the fish. So yeah, you could eat pescatarian, but then you've got all of the destruction of the wildlife and you've got the killing of the animals and you've got the cost as well. Or you could just take that omega-3 and B12 tablet and you can significantly reduce your...
You also need to take calcium. You need to take vitamin D. You have to take selenium. You have to take iodide.
95% of people in the 95% of people in the US are vitamin D deficient.
Yes, that is fair, and we do prescribe that. But the thing
it's not
is,
unique to veganism,
as I've seen patients, as I've been rotating through different
Can
things.
you rank the diets in terms of healthiest? Would you go pescatarian, vegan?
I'd go Mediterranean first,
Yeah,
and then
vegan?
pescatarian, and then vegan.
Okay, so
here's the important
we're
thing
not
for
too
me.
far away from each other.
We're not too far away, but here's the thing: is that I think about my patients, and I think about what is achievable for them. And the problem with, and I think
What's
a lot of us can
affordable
agree
for them?
with this.
What's affordable
So
for them as well,
affordable,
right?
but also,
It's so expensive
but
to live
listen,
here.
can I?
Of course,
please?
sorry.
The other thing is, I've seen medication non-compliance. Like I myself take a medication for blood pressure, and I suck at it. And a lot of other people, one of the biggest things in America is that a lot of people actually are just not compliant with their medications. So
What is that? Just they don't take it.
they don't take it. So it's either we have them high.
I don't understand that. If you have medicine, take the medicine. Why are you not taking your medicine? It's medicine. Like I get it. If it has side effects, it has side effects. But it's like, it's your medicine. I don't know.
BMI, take a bunch of medications. Yeah. We do a vegan diet. We give them a lot of supplements, like 5 or 6 actually, that you would need. Or you can have the Mediterranean diet, where you can just have a good diet without those supplements or added things in it.
Yeah, you don't need those 5 or 6. You need the B12 tablet.
You need
And even if you did need 5 or 6, that's fine. Like, what's the matter with that? Take them. It's fine. He's not even, he didn't even mention when it came to medication, he didn't even mention the concept of like side effects and people are doing this because they don't like medicine and stuff like that. No, his entire argument was, oh, people already don't take their medicine because they forget this and that. So it's like, you're just making it more difficult. I had a hard time right now saying just take the medication because I felt bad about the people who hate the side effects or are dealing with it. I felt bad. I was like, yeah, I'm being a little bit of a jerk right now. If this guy isn't even talking about the side effects of medication and he's simply talking about the inability for us to remember to take medication, then shut the hell up. Like, take the medicine. Take the vitamins. Who cares? You need them. I don't care if you forget. Don't forget. I don't understand.
Omega-3
calcium.
push as well.
And the hard thing is that
I'm
like
gonna
you have
say-
to be super careful about how much of the macronutrient you're consuming. So as a vegan, you have to make sure, okay, I'm having this many of this kind of food group, this many of this kind of food group, because you want to make sure that you're getting those vitamins
should be
and those
doing that,
micronutrients
even
in.
as an
Where as
omnivore.
a Mediterranean diet, you wouldn't need to do that as much. Like you have to do it some for sure, because you want to make sure that
If you're
not
doing
eating
it
too much
some,
as well.
you can
Because
do
I think
it
with the Mediterranean
as
diet
much, it's
studies, I've
fine.
seen
How
so
do
many
you-
studies where they just
Can I
let
ask-
people eat.
Can I ask how do you explain that 600, 700,000 people in the overall health outcome work? University of Oxford and the Christian Adventist study, which I've mentioned a few times. If people are struggling to take those supplements, and if people aren't doing veganism properly, you'd expect their life expectancy to be significantly reduced, or not 20% more. They beat the pescatarians on life expectancy significantly. They've got better health outcomes in terms of their risk of cancers, diabetes, obesity. So in practice, you say people are bad at doing this, and yeah, of course they are. That rings true for us intuitively. But when you look at nearly 1 million people, and you look at what they're actually doing, the vegan significantly has the better health outcome. And I want a car that's going to go far. It has fewer trips to the garage, that it goes faster and longer. That's what I want, the good health outcomes. So the same should be true of my body as well.
But the thing is that there are truths to that definitely cancer is a thing where it's decreased in veganism. However, the Mediterranean diet
How do you
does
explain
have
the
those
overall?
decreased thing.
Like, how do you explain the
I don't know. I'm still a student. I'm still learning. And
Ah,
maybe
GG.
I will
Throw it
find that
up.
study and maybe I'll be
Throw
able
it
to
up.
answer that
It's
better
GG.
for you at some point. But as I see
Okay,
it,
GG
Well,
then,
check it
bro.
out. Take my email or something after.
Okay.
Genuinely read it, and
No,
I'm
sounds
genuinely,
good.
I'm
But-
genuinely interested
yeah.
to hear what you think of it, because I read it, it just like the difference is huge.
But I think when it comes to the Mediterranean diet versus the vegan diet might be better in some ways, but only just by a little bit. With the Mediterranean diet, you still have decreased cancer rates, you still have decreased cardiovascular risk, you still have decreased risk.
Okay, so his whole point is, yeah, the vegan diet is better, but only by a little bit. So you might as well just do this Mediterranean diet, and you still get meat. You still get meat.
Diabetes if you're doing those things properly. And one of the things we learn, I've never in my medical school career been told to recommend the vegan diet as the first diet to go to. It's always been the Mediterranean diet or the DASH diet, which is something where it's like less processed food, less salt.
Yeah.
And I will admit, there are red meats out there that are probably not as good for you.
Really bad.
Yes, exactly. But when it comes to like
And the
chicken,
ultra-processed foods,
fish,
as well, when you're comparing a beef burger to a regular burger, recent studies are showing that you're way less likely to develop heart disease by having the ultra-processed vegan burger over the beef burger. We're not surprised by this either, are we?
the ultra-processed vegan burger is better.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
pause.
Beyond Meat one, significantly.
Pause, you've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
That was a pleasure. Thank you. I really appreciate
Yeah, that was really good. Let's watch. I want to find that two-leg plague video. Let's see here. This is a big video. I think this just came out today because I've only 4 days ago. Yeah, I've been seeing it for just a while now. Let's see here. Yeah, this one right here.
To no surprise, the vegan destroyed all the garbage arguments that the meat eaters gave. And Dr. Jack did it all, oozing with charisma. Like, I have a crush on him, but I
Yeah,
couldn't
we
help
all have a
noticing
crush
this
on him.
comment under the video. So I wanted to
Think it'd be a lot more interesting if it was one meat eater versus 20 vegans.
show why a meat eater versus 20 vegans debate would not be interesting. Hey, how are you? I'm doing good. I just think it's horrible what we're putting these animals through. Yeah, I'm not really too concerned about that. Right. Yeah. Well, what about all the environmental destruction? Doesn't really affect me. Gotcha. Okay. Well, it was nice to meet you. Likewise. To no surprise.
I'm not even really laughing that much. It's not even really that funny. But it was kind of. Alrighty. This is the end of this video. What is it, like an hour long? Yeah, hour and 5. It's a lot. That was a lot. For what? Like, I think we watched 25 minutes. Insane. But already, we're good to go. See you next video tomorrow. Bye-bye.